Hey, party people. Today we're going to be talking about construction considerations for plus size fashion. And disclaimer number one, I don't really like the term plus size because it's like comparing plus to straight size. We got to find a better word for that. Disclaimer number two, I have a lot of these tips. So if you want a series, let me know in the comments. I guess it's not really a disclaimer. I guess what I'm saying is this is not the end of everything I know about plus size. Okay. 5 do's and 1 don't. Number 1, do think about different body types and how that will affect your pattern making. And this is especially, most of my videos are for mass market, designing, multiples, going into production, that sort of thing. But of course, all of these can be taken into consideration for individual dressmaking, whether you're sewing your own clothes or you're doing made to measure for individuals. But always think about different body types. Your pattern making for plus is always going to be a little bit different depending on how somebody gains weight. Okay, even within the range of a straight size, everybody gains weight differently. You hear women say like, oh, this is going to go straight to my thighs. Nothing has ever gone straight to my thighs. Okay, I gain weight in my upper body and I have skinny little thighs. Okay, that's just what it is. Those jeans brands like the big denim companies, they generally will have 3 size profiles depending on your hip to waist ratio. Because there are some women who still have a smallish waist compared to the size of their hips. And then there are some who gain weight in the middle and have narrower hips and thighs in comparison. And then there are some that are kind of in between the two. The more weight someone gains, then the weight distribution is going to be even more of a factor. So if you have someone who gains a lot of weight in their upper body, they might need a larger armhole. Okay, so if that's your size profile, your body profile, women who gain weight in their upper bodies, you might need to accommodate for a larger armhole. Okay, if your audience is pear-shaped women, they probably do not need that much increase in the armhole beyond a standard grade. Another thing is breasts are not proportionate to the body, okay? Just because someone gains weight all over, that actually doesn't mean that their breasts are going to grow. Okay? Like I've heard women complain about how come I have fat everywhere except my titties? Like YouTube censors don't come after me. We're talking about bodies. We're talking about clothes, okay? Nothing weird, all right? But it's true. You see slender women with larger natural breasts, and women with breast implants also need clothes. But just breasts come, and you see larger frame women with flatter chests. Breasts are not like a proportion thing where the length of arms is generally proportionate to the length of your torso, things like that. Breasts are just kind of like, they're going to do what they want to do. Titties be tittying. Number 2, that means do rethink your dart usage. Okay. I think a lot of us, when we study standard dressmaking, we do like the fisheye darts in the front of the dress and fisheye darts in the back of the dress along the princess seam, maybe double fisheyes for a style, and then you have like standard dart manipulations. And I'm not mocking any of that because I also teach that. Like in my Patreon pattern making class, we've moved on to bodices. We're doing bodice blocks. We're going to move on to dart manipulation and creating style lines. So yeah, we start at the base. But if you're trying to accommodate different bodies, if you're trying to create a unique style profile, or you're trying to accommodate a specific person, think about your dart usage. Maybe if someone gains more weight in the middle, in their tummy, you don't need those waist darts. Maybe you only need them in the back. Okay? If you have someone with a big waist to hip ratio, meaning they have a very small waist and they have a really round butt, maybe you need another dart. Okay. Everyone just thinks, 1 or 2 darts. That's the standard. And that's how you don't have to leave it at that. You want a third dart? You need a third dart? Throw in a third dart. And you might be thinking, well, Zoe, why don't I just put in like a really one big dart because it's funny looking. It's funny looking. You know, for a block, like a waist dart, I'll have like one big dart because it's like the easiest to the block is kind of a starting point for pattern making. So it's just easier to start with just one dart as your base block pattern. But when you're talking about getting something to really fit right, putting in multiple darts, positioning them where specifically you need the flare, kind of spreading out those darts along the curve make for a smoother, better fit, a softer transition that fits closely around curves as opposed to just like one big dart that pinches right at what angle. Okay. And so, yeah, you got that really round butt. You got a little extra hip. Maybe you throw in a third dart. Okay. To accommodate the curve. And, I get this question a lot. Where's the princess seam? Where's the dart? What are those measurements? And yeah, standard princess, on a sample size 4, it's like 3 inches from center front, about 3 inches from center back. You grade up and blah, 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 right? But if your samples, your sample size is an 18, because that's the middle of your size range, right? Whenever we do any sort of production pattern making, we start with the middle of your size range, the middle size medium, size 6, whatever that is, and you grade up and down, okay? And if you need more darts to wrap around the curve of a butt really nicely, so be it. And if your dart needs to start a little bit closer, a little bit further from center front, center back to make that curve look beautiful, go with it, okay? These starting measurements, like 3 inches from here and 4 inches from there, those are starting points for you to build like a very basic template. And then you build out, according to your fit model, the body that you're trying to fit, okay? It's really about making the body look good. Quick primer on darts, okay? Darts are basically when you pinch out fabric so that you can accommodate curves. So let's say you're doing a pencil skirt and your waist is 30 inches and your hip is 40 inches, then you have to pinch out 10 inches in the darts. So that's 4 panels. 1, right front, right back, left back. So that's 4 panels. So how do you want to distribute that? A lot of the time, fronts are flatter than the back. Not always true, okay? But generally speaking, so maybe you do 2 smaller front darts, 1 inch each. And that leaves you 8 inches to pinch out in the back. And that's 4. If you do 4 darts, 2 on each side, and each of those darts are 2 inches wide, that's a lot of dart. Maybe you need a third dart. Maybe you do 6 darts across the back. You can do it kind of like in a sunburst pattern. That could look really pretty and accentuate that small waist even more and distribute the excess fabric a lot nicer and rounder. And now you have 6 darts that are about 1.25 inches each. Okay? And it looks nice. So think about your darts. Think about your dart placement. Think more critically about where you need them, depending on what kind of body you're trying to fit, where those darts should sit, how many you need, how much excess you're trying to distribute within darts. Think more critically about your darts. Number 3, do hem skirts when the fit model is wearing it. This one was inspired by, I saw this TikToker and she had started a line of mini skirts for girls with big butts, okay? Specifically for girls with big butts, because you might know this already. You might have experience with this specifically and personally. Your butt, because it sticks out, it needs more fabric. And when you wear a shorter skirt, it's more noticeable that the back hikes up because it's trying to go around your whole butt. And so when you look at you from the side, it's like low in the front and high in the back. It's not a great look. I mean, not we can't even all decide on mullet skirts, high in the front, low in the back. But that's why, depending on the kind of butt your person has, you want to put the skirt on, give it a few extra inches at the bottom for that first fitting, and then hem it when the fit model is wearing it so that the hem is parallel to the floor. Okay. You might be accommodating for someone with a bigger belly, someone with a flatter butt, whatever that is, whatever those fit concerns are. Okay. It's just best to like put it on the body, hem it so that all the way around it's parallel to the floor. Take some pictures, step back, mark it up, use some twill tape, use some contrast pens, and that's how you're going to get the best hem. And you know what? Later on, you might look at your pattern and be like, this looks like a mullet skirt. But you know what? It might be to accommodate a bigger butt. The last couple are tips that can generally be applied to any body type. Number one, widen that waistband. Skinny waistbands are uncomfortable, especially if they're really pinching in, okay? They dig in painfully. It's not great. And that is true whether it is a non-stretching, woven fabric, block fused stiff waistband, or an elastic waistband, or any combination of the two, okay? Give it at least a good 2 inches, 3 inches. Make sure that it is constructed in such a way that it doesn't fold over, okay? So by that I mean some kind of substantial fabric, block fuse, put interfacing in the whole thing so it has some sort of like firmness, both front and back, or a wide elastic that's covered with a good substantial fabric, quality materials. I personally prefer an elastic with a drawstring, okay? A soft elastic that's going to fit around your body and then have the drawstring when you really need it to hold upright, okay? This is particularly helpful for people who do not have wide hips and butts because people with wide hips and butts, they have their hip and butt to hold up their skirts and pants if they start sliding down. But people with narrower, like they have bigger tummies, waistlines, and they have narrower hips and thighs, their pants and skirts fall down without anything to stop them. So to have that special elastic drawstring combo really helps out. Number 5, do rethink those spaghetti straps. Kind of going in with that whole skinny thing, digging painfully in and blah, blah, blah. Also, think about women with, in particular, larger breasts who need a little bit more support. Like spaghetti straps, they're very cute. And, if you're doing a bunch of crisscrossing across the back and you don't need one strap to do a lot of support, maybe. But for the most part, rethink your spaghetti straps. Consider sturdier straps. Consider like 1/2 inch wide. You could do an elastic in a fabric casing, okay? Or you can just do some sort of like string that ties, like 2 straps that are in woven material, possibly fused, that ties in a bow at the top, and that is adjustable. You can untie it and the person can retie it to whatever strap length they need. But the point is that just like a slightly wider strap holds things up, holds things in, and feels more secure. Titties be tittying. And it has less of a tendency to kind of just dig in and leave like uncomfortable red marks on your body at the end of the day. Last, but definitely not least, your don't for the day. Do not make things longer. Okay, bigger doesn't necessarily mean taller. Okay, so unless you are specifically doing a line for curvy, tall ladies, which need to exist, Okay. I don't know if you know, I love Leslie Jones. She is 6 feet tall and a larger woman. And there is that market. There's also a market for curvy short people. I have a private business client, superpeer.com, if you want to contact me for private consulting. But she's starting a line for petite, curvy, plus size women. Okay, because that is also a market. She's 5'1" and very round, and she's like, I'm tired of looking for clothes. So she's doing that. So think about when you're grading your pattern, how much longer to make it. Oftentimes, when we look at straight size mass production, it's, it does get incrementally longer. Typically size 2 clothes are shorter on the mass market than size 12 clothes. Okay, they just get a little bit tall. I mean, it's a thing that exists. It doesn't have to exist because, again, height and weight, there's no, bodies are all over the place in terms of height and weight. Okay, the BMI doesn't indicate your health or anything. It shows no actual predictor of what your body actually looks like. So the whole height and weight and size, they're all over the board. So you don't have to think, oh, automatically the size 24 should be much taller than the size 14. Like, that's not how bodies work. Right? So do rethink that. Do not automatically make things longer just because they're bigger. Right? So again, if you want more of my advice and tips on how to construct plus size clothes, make this into a series, leave me a comment below. Always drop me your questions. Please like this video if you learned something new today. Share with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.